Hi, I'm Bonnie Lynn Linke of Stamping with Bonnie Lynn, and welcome to my studio. Today we are going to make this card right here. It is using the Amazing Silhouette Cling Stamp Set from the January to June mini catalog. And it is a silhouette, but we watercolored in the tree. And I'll show you the stamp set right now so you can see what I'm talking about right here. This is the way it will stamp. And then I use heat embossing to make it watercolor resist. So I will show you a new technique today, and let's get started. But first we are going to start with the inside stamp set, just because I want to go in the color of the inks I'm using. So we're going to stamp this image, and then we'll start with the rest of it. Okay, now I'm going to use my Stamparatus today. And the reason for that is because when we do the white shimmer paper, we want to be able to have the stamp, because it's going to be multiple stamping. We want the stamp to hit in the right spot. So we need to use the Stamparatus. Now with a cling stamp set, you normally do not need to use the cushion. There is an exception though that I have found. When using it with your paper in the corner, you don't get quite as good of a stamp if you don't have a little bit of height to it. So I leave my cushion on. Now I put it where I wanted it on the paper. I closed it and my stamp stuck to it. That is what is so wonderful about these new cling sets. Okay, I'm going to ink up my stamp with Balmy Blue. Now I'm going to remove this piece of paper. This is just a piece of copy paper that I'm going to put here because I want to stamp off one time before I put this on my paper. There we go. And now I'm going to take and put this right here like so. Rub it down, even though I don't want it too dark. Oh, perfect. Okay. So we'll take that and set it aside until we're ready to use it. Now I do need to clean off my stamp because I need to move it. I forgot about that. So I just use the shimmy and clean it off. I'm going to leave that open because we're still going to use it. Okay, and now I'm getting a piece of the white shimmer paper. And you can see that it's very smooth and it has a shine to it. And this is waterproof. I wouldn't put heavy water on it, but for the technique we're doing, it will work perfect. Okay, now I need to take my stamp off again, and I need to set it where I want it on here. And that's why we needed to clean it, because I needed to reposition the stamp. Now this piece of paper, all the measurements are on my block. It is in the corner because I need to know where to replace it. Okay, and close that. Now I am going to take my Misty Moonlight ink, and I am going to ink up just a part of it. So about half of it. I want it pretty good there. Okay. I'll set that down, and I am going to take this here, the finger daubers, and I'm going to ink up the top half with the Balmy Blue. Now I could use the stamp. I could probably lay the stamp set if I wanted to on it, but I want to, with the dauber, I want to take the edge of where the Misty Moonlight ended and kind of push it up a little bit so it's kind of a variant grade to it. And I don't care if the top is too dark, too light. So I'm going to close that. And I'm not going to hold it down real long because I want it to see what this is like up here. Okay. So I can go ahead and push down on it to get what I want. And that's what's so great about the Stamparatus. I can keep lifting it and closing it and getting it where I want it. And it stays in place as long as I have that magnet holding the paper. Now I have a spot up here that just isn't getting any ink, so I'm gonna redo that. Okay, and just rub down. There we go, perfect. Okay, I'm gonna close these up because we are done with these for the moment anyhow. Got to be stronger than the ink pad sometimes. Okay, and I need to clean my stamps off again. And we're going to use Versamark now, and I really don't want to get a bunch of blue ink in my Versamark pad, even though it is a little bit dirty. Okay, Versamark is a clear ink. We use it when doing heat embossing because it will make the powder stick to it. But you can also use it for doing a tone on tone, and it will dry by itself. It takes a little bit longer to dry than what our regular ink does, but it will give you an image if using color paper. Okay. Ink that up good. I'm going to close it, and I'm going to push this. And as you can see, my shimmy made a mess. Okay, wipe that away. So I do have my Versamark on here. Now I'm going to get my clear embossing powder. Okay, now I put my embossing and powder in containers because I use so much of it. But otherwise, you could have like a coffee filter underneath you to work with and just pour it on there. And that would, work too. There we go. And you can see that there is some powder on it. Now I'm going to close this because I don't want it going all over the place when I turn on my heat gun. Okay, and I forgot to pre-warm my heat gun up, so this is going to take a couple minutes. Now, if I was working on a surface that wasn't a solid stone like this is, I would have my silicone mat underneath so as not to burn my counter. And I'll take my little paintbrush here and hold it down. You want to be careful that you don't burn the paper. And what you do, it's hard to see on camera, but you want to do this until the powder melts. Okay, I want to show you this before I do the other side. If you look at this closely, you can see on this side where the powder has melted. So I still have this side to do. I apologize about the noise, but it will only take me another minute. And once you get the heat gun warmed up, it goes a lot quicker. Go over it real quick and make sure it's okay. And that is how you heat emboss. This is how I fell in love with stamping. A friend invited me over, and it was at Christmas time, and she said, here, let's make a card. She was making some, and she wanted me to make one, and it was heat embossing. I did that the one time, and I was sold. I mean, I've been making cards ever since, and I love it. Okay, so now we're gonna watercolor our tree. And for that, I'm using Soft Suede ink, Peppermint Bay, I'm sorry, Bermuda Bay, not Peppermint, Old Olive, and Mossy Meadow. And what we're gonna do, I'm using the watercolor painter. Now, we do have newer ones and they're white. I just haven't received them, ordered them yet, so I'm using an old one. Now I'm using 2 clear blocks, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stamp Mossy Meadow on one side, Old Olive on the other side of that one, and then I can close my stamp pads up because I won't need them anymore. And then on this one, I'm going to do Bermuda Bay. And that's a lot more than what I needed. And on this one, I'm going to do Soft Suede. Now, if you don't have a bunch of blocks, you can take, if you have a window sheet, you can use that, or from our stamp sets. I don't have one in that stamp set. Let me see. Right here, the plastic right here, if you put your stamps down on here, you can take this and use it just like you would a block, and then you just rinse it off afterwards, and you have that to keep using. I also use that a lot when I'm coloring with my stamping blends. And what I'll do is I'll put ink on it, or like a block, and then I'll take my blender pen and just get a different, to blend colors or to make a lighter color. Okay, now this is the Soft Suede. And I added a little bit of water there, as you can see, and I'm just gonna, now I am kind of leaving space in between where the leaves go over the tree. And a little bit up there. All right. And that's all there is to it. Now, I may go back and make it a little bit darker as it dries. Okay, now I'm going to take a little bit of my Mossy Meadow. And put it in. And that's a little bit wetter than I wanted, so I'll just take my towel and dab it. And you can see it getting lighter as I move about. Now this is, because we put that clear embossing powder over it, I can go on it with this and it won't, I don't like the way that one turned out, but that's okay. It won't, I can just wipe it off where it doesn't belong. It will go in the cracks where the leaves and branches are, but that's it. Now I got that one there a little dark, so I'm going to try to change the color of it with a little bit of Bermuda Bay. And I think also after that one dries, because I got too much water there, it will look fine. Just the Bermuda Bay adds just a little bit of a different color. And mix it in with some Old Olive. But as you can see, you want to make sure it's not too wet when you do it. Then I can take the Bermuda Bay and put it over here. Just get all different colors. And if you leave some white in there, that's fine. And then you just wipe it off with your towel afterwards to get the wet off of the clear embossing. And you know, I want to try just a little bit of green right in here. And that is all there is to it. So it's however you make it look. Just be careful you don't put a gob on it like I did right there. And as you can see, it's pretty wet. So let's see what happens if we dry that real quick with this. Okay, and you can tell as it's still wet, but I just wanted to show you that as it dries, it will lighten up and that will go away. So, okay, we'll move our blocks out of the way. Now what we're gonna do is, I've already embossed it, but I took a piece of crumb cake cardstock and I put it in my hammered metal 3D embossing folder. It's in the annual catalog. And I ran it through my cut and emboss machine. And there we have it. It is nice and embossed. And I want a little bit rough edge. So I'm just going to take my scissors. And I'm going to rough up the edge. Now there is a tool that's out there on the market. That you can get that will do this. You can run it through that. But I find my scissors do a great job at it. And you know, if it rips or anything, that doesn't hurt it because we want it to have a distressed look to it. That's the word. And if you want to, you could even add some of the soft suede ink around the edges. Just take a dauber and ink some on there. Okay. That's nice and distressed. Let me get this out of the way. And no, I didn't wipe it on the floor, even though it was tempting. My husband does all the vacuuming, so that makes it sweet. Okay, now I'm going to use the tear and tape on this, and I am going to put it about a 1/2 inch from the edges because I don't want my edges down tight. I normally do, but this time I don't. And because of the texture of the embossing, I don't want to use anything else. I just feel like I have more control with this type of tape on it. So, okay. And I'm going to put it at an angle. I think this time I'll put it at this angle here. Get my take your pick tool. There we go. I could have probably taken it all off at once, but I didn't. And again, if you want to place it at the other angle or if you want to place it straight, that's fine. It's whatever you like. Okay, and now I want to use my Stamp and Seal to put this on. You know, I don't know why. I have always had trouble with using these from any company. The tape that comes in here, and I just have trouble getting it started. So I just use my silicone mat to get it started a little bit, and then, okay, perfect. And look at that spot, it's going away. Okay, now we need to heat emboss our saying. I probably should have done that already, but I didn't, so we will do it. This is a embossing buddy. I just don't want the ink staying all over the place, and I need my pad. And what I meant was not the ink, the powder. I didn't want it to stick where I didn't want it, so that's what the embossing buddy's for. Now I'm using Thank You, and this is from the Art Gallery stamp set. So I just tap my stamp in there and just put it on here. There we go. And you can maybe see the words thank you. Now I could just let that dry, and that's how Versamark looks on cardstock. Okay, now I need my white embossing powder, which is right here. And I have, that was a smart move. I have a little paintbrush that I use too, in case there's some powder over where I don't want it, because I don't want it to get embossed. So, okay, and then get my heat gun again real quick. I'm gonna hold it down. There we go. Okay, I realized I didn't use my silicone mat. That was sticking right there. As I said, I have the solid surface, so I wasn't that concerned about it. Okay, next comes our ribbon. This ribbon is from, it's a denim ribbon that is called Jeans Band. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to use my glue dots see, I'm gonna put it right about here. So I'll put a glue dot right there. And then I'm going to place another glue dot right here so that it will hold it down. There we go. And then I'm going to take my little thank you, and I'm going to use a couple dimensionals, one on each side. And I'm going to place that right there, just like so. And then the saying for the inside. Let me clean off one of my clear blocks. For that one, I used, which stamp set did I use? I used the one from Plentiful Plants, A Little Note with the Biggest Things. I like that saying. So let me get my inside here. This is the one where we had stamped off the stamp first onto the piece of scratch paper. So now I am going to take and just tap, tap, tap my saying. And I'm using the Misty Moonlight. I'm just going to put this and hope I got it somewhat straight. Hold it down for a sec with about 3 or 4 seconds with using the polyphotomer stamps. And you want to have some type of cushion underneath you. Oh, that looks so pretty. Okay, now I need to put tape on it and put it over. And you are going to notice that there's a silhouette on the other side. What happened is when I started to record, I blundered every other word out of my mouth when I was stamping this, so I decided to start over. And I couldn't see any reason to waste a good piece of paper, so I just stamped on over it. There we go. I'll take it. All right, and you know I always do something on my envelopes, but I don't know what to do for this one yet. So it may just be a naked envelope this time. So there we go. This is the Amazing Silhouette stamp set. And it's so pretty. And I love the butterflies that are on it. And you guys aren't going to believe this. I don't even know what I did with the stamp set to show it to you again. Oh, here it is. But you have the butterflies and you have this piece of greenery right here. But I've seen some samples done in orange and pinks and yellows and very pretty. So, and they are wonderful on the inside of cards too for just something different. Thank you for joining me. If you liked the video, I'd really appreciate it if you would hit the like and subscribe to my channel. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram, and I do post on Pinterest. I'm getting the hang of all of that. And if you are finding me, my blog is stampingwithbonnielynn.com. And I would love it if you would sign up to get my weekly newsletters. And if you do not have a demonstrator and you need anything from Stampin' Up, please contact me. And also now at the end of my blogs, you will find the list of supplies that I used with a picture, and you can hit that picture and go directly into my store on Stampin' Up. Thank you very much and have a great day. Bye.